Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Midwest Whitetail After Hours podcast, presented to you by Hoyt Archery. My name is Jason Science. I'll be your host this evening. Today is December 19th, and I'm joined by Jared, Max, and then a couple of special guests. Max, I'll let you introduce them and put the pressure on you since you had the privilege of hunting with these folks.
Right. Well, everybody that's been tagging along in social media, and Jared introed the opportunity last week on the main show, but Clayton and Chad here are the guys with Operation Impact 22. Clay is the president and founder of that, and then Chad was the recipient of the Veterans Giveaway Hunt. And so we just got back yesterday from a week-long time down kind of in southern Iowa over there where Owen's at, chasing some deer, chasing some pheasants, telling stories, just hanging out. It was an incredible week. So we ended up, as probably most everybody knows by now, we ended on a high note. And we'll get into that, but it was an awesome trip, a heck of a fun way to spend a gun season that I primarily don't really take much part in. So it was awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
we're gonna share the video on tomorrow's episode. I'm excited for everyone to see that. But before we dive too much into the hunt, Clayton, why don't you tell us just a little bit, just kind of give us a synopsis of what Operation Impact 22 is, when it started, kind of the vision of that, the mission of that, just so everyone kind of has a feel for what this project was about.
Yeah, Operation Impact 22. I started Operation Impact 22 roughly 2.5 years ago. I got out of the U.S. Navy. I was a medic, a corpsman stationed with the United States Marine Corps. And about 3.5 years ago, I had three of my Marines that I served with had committed suicide in probably 2 or 3 months. And one of those in particular was my captain when I was stationed with 2-2. After that happened, I started talking to some of my guys that I served with, and everybody was just shocked by that whole incident. So I said, let's get together and go on a hunt, right? So let's just bring back a little bit of what we in the military covet so much, is the camaraderie element to it. And we did some hunting, and after that, I kind of thought, I've got some resources here in Iowa that I think a lot of vets would just absolutely love to come out and hunt. So one late night, I was kind of chatting with a couple buddies of mine and filled some paperwork out, sent it off, and we got registered as a 501c3 nonprofit after that. And then the mission is mental health and suicide awareness. After I had some close friends in the service, the more I talk to people, the more mental health has touched people in some form or fashion. In today's world, mental health is just running rampant to everybody. And I'm also a firefighter, so I work with a lot of our guys and gals at the fire department. I work with a lot of our cops and any public safety official. And everybody is affected by mental health in some form or fashion. I'm a firm believer of that. And one thing that I found has really helped is getting out and getting into the outdoors. And what better way than hunting? So we started scheduling hunts with get a bunch of cops out, hog hunting down south. We've done alligator hunts, we've done pheasant hunts. We try to do a little bit of everything. And through the state of Iowa, we're fortunate enough to get a disabled veteran whitetail tag and a disabled veteran turkey tag. And this last year, we started advertising our whitetail tag. I got in contact with Midwest Whitetail, and you guys were on board with kind of filming us and helping us out with this hunt. So at the end of that, we had 217 applicants. We went through a process of picking one, and we were extremely thrilled that Chad applied and Chad was chosen. And, this kind of, again, falls in line with our mission. We're just trying to get vets and first responders out get them connected with other vets and first responders and have a good time. So, this was to date one of our personal favorites that I've been a part of. Chad's a great guy. I got to meet a lot of awesome guys from Midwest Whitetail that helped us out, and we got to spend some time in some beautiful country and do something that we're pretty passionate about. So it was a great week.
That's awesome. We're grateful for you guys allowing us to be a part of it. Grateful for Max going and spending time with you guys and all that. It's just a cool story, and appreciate you giving us a chance to be a part of it. Chad, how's your first experience? Is this your first experience with the Iowa Whitetail, I assume?
It is my first experience with Iowa Whitetail, and I tell you what, it was a experience of a lifetime. I don't think I'll ever be able to top that. I on a few lifetimes and not top that.
Yeah,
phenomenal animals. The scenery was beautiful, but best of all, just the new friends I got to meet. Family basically. I can't even name everyone's names, but with Clay, with Max, Dave, everybody. Me and Max. I mean, I don't know how many hours we spent in a blind this week, but you know what? A lot of cutting up and having some fun. So it was good to get away, and it doesn't hurt when you're just staring at Iowa Giants all day.
It was so much fun because I know Jared still remembers my first year here being from the South, like the eye-opening, jaw-dropping experience of even like a slow hunt here. And it was so fun to relive that with Chad, because I haven't seen that in a while, running around with guys that have lived here and have good ground around here. We get way comfortable with these incredible hunts that we just call mediocre. And I was there's always that little bit of added pressure when you're kind of like, when you're guiding per se, it just puts so much pressure on you, whether you're taking somebody, a youth hunter or whatever it may be. And then we have, in my book, some terribly slow hunts in the beginning of the week in the warmer weather, but it was so refreshing to have like a slow hunt. I might see half a dozen does and a 2 or 3 year old. And I'm like throwing in the towel, and Chad's still ready. I mean, next morning he's ready to rock. And that was so incredible.
Hey, we seen deer. That's a win.
Yeah, we definitely saw some deer. We got kicked in the pants pretty good there the first few days, and had a decent encounter the first night with a deer that we elected to pass. Man, it was pretty slow. I mean, half dozen deer sits or less, and that's not normal even, especially even on warm days down there in southern Iowa. You find some food, you usually find some deer, and we struggled. Owen, we did some awesome stuff to help break up the mediocrity of the hunts. We took Chad by Owen's house because we were hunting just down the road, and got to take Chad and show him around that unbelievable trophy room that he's got. There's 50 shoulder mounts in there. The pheasant hunt was ridiculous. We saw hundreds of birds, and Chad put the hurting on plenty of them. It was awesome.
That's very cool. So go into a little more detail. I mean, and whoever, Clay, Chad, whoever, go in a little more detail towards like the end of the hunt when you guys started getting into a little more action, eventually got it done.
Yeah, Chad, tell them about it.
Yeah, this was the last day of the hunt. It just kind of all built up to that day. It really did. We had a lot of sets, a lot of good sets, and all of them pale in comparison to that last day. From the moment we sat down, I would say, I think we tried to get to the blind early. It was about 1:30. Before 2:00, we had our first deer coming in, and it was just like someone opened the floodgates. As soon as the first ones came through, they just kept piling in front of us. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of eyes on you. And I know I was certainly feeling it. I can't speak for Max, but I know you had to be feeling it. There's a lot of pressure with a lot of eyes on you. A lot of bucks. I've never seen that many. Just every age range deer I could possibly throw at somebody was in that field. Spikes up to, a 3-year-old 10-point that's just going to be an absolute showstopper. I know Max had to keep me contained because my heart's about to pop out of my chest just watching these. It's not every day you've got a 180-degree view of anything from 2 bucks sparring over on your left, another buck in that's just bristled up, coming in sideways, ready to fight, and then it's just I almost forgot I was hunting. It was just a wow factor for me. It's just sitting there taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I never stopped to count because you couldn't count. So closer to the end of the hunt that day, we had an 8-point with a split brow tine that was, he just was wearing a sapling out in front of us for, God, it must have been an hour. And he right there in front of us. And it was, he was probably in front of us for a solid hour whenever finally the buck that we were targeting that we had another encounter with, kind of had a little vendetta with, that I was waiting for him to make an appearance, and lo and behold, he did not disappoint, and he came out ready to give him the business. And I tell you what, that's when it got real for me. I bet I really put some pressure on Max there because I know it happened fast. It really did. It really built up, but when he came out, it happened pretty quick. And other than saying, yeah, we put him down. He came in. He was ready to spar. Waited for him to kind of give me a good shot. I put what I thought was a good shot on him, and he took off to the edge of the field, and we watched him for a minute, started our celebration, and I put another one through because he gave me another opportunity, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
I'm really glad I did. So Mac, feel free to fill in where I'm missing. There's so much of that hunt, and in particular that day, that words just really can't describe how it was for me.
Yeah, it was special for sure. I mean, up until so we hunted, I think we killed on the 6th day. We took day 5 off as that big front blew through the whole country, but those winds were nothing short of dangerous. So we took day 5 off, but encountered that good 3-year-old the first day on another guy's piece. And then I think it wasn't until day 3 we saw another good deer that was kind of on that 3 or 4-year-old line that we elected to pass. But it's kind of like when you're I wanted to hype Chad up as much as possible, being from Oklahoma and never seeing what we really got here. But I don't want to hype him up too much and it be a bust. So I'm like kind of explaining what it could be when you get the right conditions. And we had Saturday was the best conditions for the first few days, and we had a pretty good hunt. I mean, seeing a dozen deer, and I could just looking at the weather this time of year, you can tell if you're gonna somewhat struggle. And so when that forecast kind of started to dial in, Thursday was our day. It just I think we had Jared, I think it was record high temps in Iowa, 72 degrees. A lot of that wind was Wednesday, and it was dangerous. There's some, even across the country, there was a lot of bad news for a lot of people with those winds. And so we stayed out of the woods. And then Thursday, just night and day difference. It went from 70 degrees to, I think high was 40, perfect west winds, just those nice 10 to 15 mile an hour winds that make it really easy to hunt. You know, they're not going to get you in trouble. And like Chad said, I mean, 30 minutes into the set, I just hear the, you know, the floodgates, and it's typical of that late season when you're on a good food source on, especially this farm, unpressured, and holds a ton of deer. And it was sweet. Tons of bucks. Like, I mean, like Chad said, everything from 1-year-olds to some potential. I think there were several 3-year-olds and one that could have been 4. Potentially, I think the first yearling fawn, the yearling doe that we had on the field was, she might have not been in, but she might have been close, because there was 4 or 5 like really nice 2 and 3-year-olds right behind her, single file, like I think 5 in a row. And then it started, once they started sparring, they would just take turns sparring each other. There was just it was just intense is the best way to put it. A lot of emotion in those deer in that field when they got anywhere near each other. Everybody postured everybody. And just one of those days, you know, that a 3-year-old is not the most mature deer you're going to see. And it just was, we were contemplating shooting that 8 because he's solid. I mean, he's good body deer. I'm not sure if he was 3 or 4, but I could have easily passed him off as 4. We just kept holding out, knowing that there's no way, you know, this was only 4:00. We still got an hour and change. And you just, one of those hunts, you know, that's not the best deer that's in the area. And when that deer, we kind of were sitting on an awesome spot in a blind with a little bit of standing corn, but a good amount of cut corn, and all the beddings directly in front of us. So you can just see them almost, you don't see them stand up, but you just watch them filter down the ridge right to you, you know, right into your lap. And when, you know, 10 minutes before that deer hit the field, you knew something was coming, because his wind, you know, his wind was hitting every deer in that field. And it was just like every eye in that field looked up that ridge. I mean, I hit record 5 minutes before, 4 or 5 minutes, I think, before I even saw him, because you just knew every deer, especially the younger bucks, they kind of left that edge. They kind of got out of dodge. Other than that other 8. And when our target stepped out, he was 5-10 yards off the field. When I first saw him, he was pinned, postured. And it's so cool. Like I told Chad, I said, there's our boy. And he got ready. And the difference between like a decent 3-year-old and like a big 5-6-year-old deer, it's unreal. Like, just, it's so cool to watch him. And we let him meander a little bit until he gave us a shot. But like Chad said, we had a great encounter with him a couple nights before. We just couldn't put it together, which makes it cool. You don't get to build history a lot of times in a 5-day hunt, but we sure did with that deer. And it all came together. Owen came for the recovery, and Caleb Griner, who a lot of you guys know, he's helping manage that farm right now, and he was awesome. He runs cameras and is in charge of a lot of it down there, and he had it dialed in from when we got there. He knew exactly where we needed to be, and so that was cool. We had I think there were 6 or 7 of us on the recovery, which it's just so much fun, the camaraderie around that. Clay came down and met us that night at Lee's after, and we hung out and sat there and looked at the deer, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It was a fun week. A lot of stories that these 2 guys would tell each other as Army guys were, for me, even pretty heavy, and there's just a level of respect there. I got a brother that's served that I've talked about with these 2 guys, and they got some incredible stories, some heavy stories, and there's nobody more deserving than Chad out there for that deer. It was awesome.
Very cool. That's so cool, just the way it played out. I mean, I love that you guys put your time in early in the week, but we talk about it all the time. It's this time of year so much dictated by weather. And when that temperature change came through, Max, I think I texted you at 10 or 11 that morning. I said, you guys are killing the day.
Yeah.
And you responded and said, no doubt. I mean, we knew it was going to happen, and hunt played out that way. And Chad, I love the way that you said that that almost felt like you forgot you were hunting. I mean, that right there. I've had some of those experiences over the years. It's a surreal feeling, but that to me is the definition of the kind of hunt that you want someone to experience. You want everyone to be able to experience, because if anybody you took could experience that right there, you know, they'd be hooked for life. I mean, that is what we try to communicate to people, what hunting is like, is that feeling right there that you forget you're actually out there to kill something. You're just surrounded by it, taking it all in. So I love that line. I mean, that told me what that hunt was all about right there.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, and I'm just talking about the deer. We were covered up in turkeys too.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. It was just flat out. It was, you know, I think on the recovery, I couldn't even come up with words, to be honest with you. I was just stunned. It really brought it all together and made for just a great end to a great week, that I'll never forget. I will never forget it. I think I'll ever rep anything like it, but that's okay, because I'm going to have all these memories for the rest of my life. And, you know, if there's any other veterans out there that want to, you know, I don't even think you have to be a hunter. If you get introduced to it and you have a day like I had, then, you know, even if it's one time you go, and that one time's, you know, all you ever do, I promise it would be worth it.
for sure.
Chad, do you hunt a lot in Oklahoma?
I do. I try to. I've always hunted public land, kind of a family tradition. It's hard hunting. It's beating feet and grinding through it. And I love it. And don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. So I have tried over the years. I've never had an experience quite like this. So and there are years where I'm sure everyone here has had this experience where you're just ready to hit. You're just, nothing ever goes right. And, so I'm very thankful that I got this. It's, yeah, man, I haven't shut up. I'm sure I'm driving my wife nuts.
Then you're doing it right.
I have just been amped up before I left, since I got back, and I think that's all I've talked about since I've been home. So it's probably all I'm going to talk about for a while.
That's awesome.
It was
Yeah,
cool. When we killed that deer, we got back to the shop and had him hanging there, and we're gonna start caping him. And Chad called his wife, and it was just like, "Are we moving to Iowa or what?" It's so funny. When I got here, I was like, "Well, this is it. This is where." I drifted a little bit through college and didn't know what I was doing, and then I landed here and said, "Well, I found it." Oh man, it's so much fun getting to introduce people to what Iowa really is. It's so special. But man, you deserve the heck out of that, Chad. Man, that was so much fun. We goofed. That's what's fun too about meeting new people and doing that. And I've had a lot of opportunity to just travel and film in the few years I've been doing this, but we hit it off and we had a blast. It's really what, you can hunt a lot, and I feel bad for anybody that hunts and just hunts by themselves, because it's a whole different level of joy when, you do it with a group or you do it with a buddy. It's just too much fun. I love what we have here. Jared, we all stay tight, and it just adds that another level of fun. And we had Clay, we met up with Clay. He didn't come on he went on one or two hunts with us, but we met up after, and it was awesome. Tell lies all night.
Yeah, it was, this really was a team effort hunt. There's no doubt in my mind. I could not have done this by myself. So, I'm forever in debt to all of you guys for helping make it happen. But it was really cool. It was something else to really put together a team hunt. Yes, there was one trigger guy, and I just happened to be so lucky and so blessed to be that trigger guy. But there was a lot of hands involved in this, and I think that makes it that much more special.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely pumped. Go
Any-
ahead, Jason.
I think anytime that you, I mean, certainly showing up on the first day and shooting one would have been cool. But shooting one on the after you like Max alluded to earlier, built somewhat of a story is even that much sweeter. It just makes for a little bit more excitement, I would say.
We passed. I mean, everybody will see when, tomorrow when the episode drops, those 2 deer we passed in those first 4 days, they were no joke. I mean, I bet that 3-year-old was probably pushing mid-30s, a double split. Like, I mean, I was glassing them like, oh boy. And that the next deer we passed was even better. And so I don't know, I'd have been done, but it was when you see like that 3-year-old we passed, and then you hold that deer next to the deer that Chad killed. I mean, we were hunting on Lee's farm down there, where everybody knows that big 204 came from last year. Incredible farm. And to Lee's best knowledge, that deer was at least 5, but potentially older. And it's just such a different animal. It was so much fun. Chad and I were talking, like, it was only 4 o'clock, but it's like, we got 40 deer out here. It's like, where's that mature deer? And it's just amazing to me how they're not fooled by anything. He's the last deer on the field. As soon as that light starts to fade, it's like, oh my goodness, he's got every deer in his neighborhood, his congregation is in this dang field. But he just hung out up on that ridge. I know that all those deer were winding him, but it's amazing. I can't wait. The deer is awesome. I bet I'm not a huge guy for score, but that deer's in the 50s. He's just a giant frame, big old Roman nose. It's got scars all over. He's a spectacular deer.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's going to be a fun.
It was fun, seeing all those deer, but it is different when you see a big, old, mature deer. They really do play in a different league once they really get to that certain age level. It was eye-opening for me. It was not only I was really learning this week too, and getting a Harvard education in deer hunting is what I got there this week. It was amazing watching all this, and then just getting to see a deer that's best I can say playing in a different league than these other deer. Like Max just said, he really did. He's waiting till the last light. His behavior was 100% different than any other deer in that field we were watching. So that was really neat to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The encounter we had with him, 2 nights before, the 2 evenings previous, we had a great hunt that night. We had 20, 30 deer out in front of us, and the wind was we were trying to play like a just off wind, because that's the spot we knew we needed to be. Cameras and Caleb Scouting knew that's where we needed to be. We were getting a few sketchy kicks throughout the afternoon, and we just we're crossing our fingers and hoping. And there's 20 deer in a little radius of where that deer stepped out, and I felt like almost a little swirl, and out of all those 20 deer, that was the only deer that left the field, and he left the field immediately. And it's just like, it's unreal, and he caught the same kick. That same little swirl is all it took. And then, no, that was enough for him.
Different
That's
animals, man. That's what we love about chasing them, though.
They don't stand around and try and figure it out. They just get out.
Nope, they can just get out of Dodge. So that was cool. It was cool to be able to see that, because I saw plenty of deer walking away from me this year, but that was.
Clayton, is this something that is nationwide, or is it right now in Iowa?
It kind of started locally. When it was originally started, I really thought, we're going to have to broadcast, we're going to have to reach coast to coast. But when we started putting these hunts together, we found that it was such a local need. We get messages all the time, but this particular hunt is is a non-resident. So we really pushed it outside of the state of Iowa. What a special hunt. How many people get to come hunt Iowa as a non-resident, with the way our draw is and whatnot. So we're pretty lucky to be able to get the tag that we do through the Iowa DNR. It's a disabled veteran tag. There's some certain criteria that has to be met. But yeah, we had applicants from all over the United States, and we reached coast to coast, and I think obviously in due time it'll get kind of bigger and bigger, as the applicant pool. But yeah, it does. It reaches all over. I think we had an Alaskan application too.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So if someone wanted to get a hold of you and find out more about maybe how to help, whatever the case, maybe they have a place they want to let you hunt, maybe they just whatever the case may be, how would they get in touch with your organization?
You can go to our website. We have my email is on there. Again, back to the cause. I feel so strongly about this. My cell phone number is on the website, so I want people to call if they need something or whatnot. But if we've got guys that want to help us in some form or fashion, our website has our contact information, our Facebook, Instagram. You can get in contact with any of us or myself through either of those. All of our hunts that we have, all of our events, we do some fishing stuff, some golf outings, all kinds of other stuff, but those will all be posted on our Facebook, Instagram, and our website. So the actual application process is done through our website. So we'll direct you from Instagram and Facebook over to our website, and we're actually kind of getting our stuff ready to push out for next year's turkey hunt, our disabled vet turkey hunt, and our disabled vet whitetail hunt. So you can be expecting to see something for those here shortly. We're getting some of the logistics pinned down, but that stuff will get out here pretty soon.
I already called dibs on filming that turkey hunt, man. It was.
I tell you, whoever on that, they're gonna love it. I hope any veteran out there that's watching this, just get on there and apply. You will not regret it. Good food, good people, good times, and it will 100% lives up to the reputation. You will not be disappointed.
That's awesome. What's the website, Clayton?
www.operationimpact22.com. And that's the same for our Facebook page and our Instagram.
Jared, is it possible for us to throw a link in there?
Yep, and we're gonna do the same thing on tomorrow's episode, and we'll make sure to call all that out. So, Clayton,
Awesome.
again, we truly appreciate all your efforts on this and allowing us the opportunity to be involved. And please let us know. I think Max and I would be on the same page and saying we'd love to continue helping in any way we can and make this just a long-term relationship where we can help give back just a little bit. So. We believe in the cause, and I know this has been an awesome experience for Max to be involved in, and let us know where we can help. And Chad, congrats again, man. It's awesome. You and I didn't, and Jason, me and Jason didn't get a chance to meet you in person like the rest of the team did, just being further away. But I've talked to pretty much everyone that did get to meet you in person on this trip, and everyone had unbelievable things to say about you and how well deserving you were of this opportunity. So. Congrats again, and thank you both for your service as well.
Yeah, thanks guys for your service. Anything anyone else has before we go? Show's gonna drop tomorrow.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, as Jared said, thanks Clayton for putting this all together. Chad, congratulations. I think on behalf of Midwest Whitetails, we can say thank you both to not only just the applicants, but everybody out there that's served to protect the freedoms that we have today. We're grateful for the sacrifices that you guys have made.
Thank you. thanks to you guys for this too. Hunting in Iowa is special for us and for you guys to welcome myself and Chad. It's been nothing shy of amazing for me too, and I live here. I've hunted quite a bit here in the state, but it's a different ball game dealing with some of that stuff. So thank you guys for your hospitality and your time and helping us out with this. So it's been an awesome week for me personally. So thanks.
Absolutely. Hopefully we get to do it again soon.
Yeah.
Now, thanks
All right,
for
guys.
the opportunity.
All right. Everybody have a good night. We're out.